All right, good night, and welcome back to the show. I started last week Monday, talking about some of the issues uh, that affects us here in Belize, PG, by extension, right? And that reminds me, I need to put something else on my list. Um, the show, like I mentioned, takes place on Mondays at 8 o'clock, and I try to stream for half an hour, just to get everybody involved, and get everybody aware of some of the things that are happening in Belize, and especially for the young people. This is for them especially, so that they are aware of some of the situations we have in Belize, and I'm doing this because a lot of times I go around to people and I speak to them and they say, "Oh, I don't know. I never know that they happen. I never know that they happen." And it happens to me too, that sometimes I pick up information from people that I didn't know was happening in Belize. And so I urge you then to also touch base with me, if you have anything that you want to share as a part of the show. And I do invite people to come in from time to time. Let's get some of these information out. A more informed public will be a more educated public, right? And so we can make better decisions when it comes to situations in Belize. But tonight, because I don't want to take up a lot of time tonight, I have with me Mr. Will Mejia. Let me see if I can pull that on screen, right? And you guys just let me know if you're seeing this in the stream itself. So, Mr. Will, good night. We're live. You're on bapplay on Facebook, and Marcel Palma on YouTube, right? And welcome to the Everyday Man Belize. That's what I'm calling this show. And I thought it would be great to have you on as the new political leader for the BPEP, right? And give you a chance to kind of share some of your thoughts on some of the issues that are happening around Belize at this time. So
yeah, well, Marcel, yeah, definitely. I'm glad to be on your show. I like the name of the show. What I call it?
The Everyday Man. Yeah.
Real roots, eh?
Yeah.
And it's nice to be here, and I want to congratulate you for stepping up to the plate and accepting the nomination and getting elected to be the deputy chairman of the Belize Progressive Party. It's a big step, and I believe that nobody else is better for the job than you.
Definitely. All right. So again, nice to have you here. One of the first things we want to touch on, remember I told you we're kind of compressed with time because I don't like my streams to go too long, right? Because in this forum, I want to just introduce the topic, and so people can start doing their own research into the various topics. So one of the first things, for people who took a look at the description that I want to touch on is the situation with the Port of Belize, right? And the CWU. I know people in Punta Gorda might say, "Oh, but that's not the affect way," right? And so I wanted to get your viewpoint on it and see if we could just touch a little bit on it so that people can be aware that these things are happening in Belize. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I believe that I believe that the situation with the CWU, the Christian Workers Union, and the Port of Belize will affect all of us Belizeans. First of all, the port of any country is very, very important. Yeah. In most of the world, the port is owned by the government. In Belize, the government decided to sell the port, and they sold the port with like a contract, knowing that it will fail. And now there are two other ports, and I'll say there's two ports active right now, but we have always had a port from the time I'm a kid called Jetty in the Dangriga area, and that is not even active right now. So what we are seeing is like the big boys playing. The port in Big Creek is owned by the ZMT side, the banana, and the by the banana people who are the Zabanese and the Side Florist group, right?
Yeah, Big Creek Port.
Independence. And then, now they're taking the business from like Santander, not Santander, ASR, American Sugar Refinery, BSI, sugar industry, that used to go to Belize City and ship the sugar from Orange Walk on the ship from Belize City. Because those guys are unionized, and I know that people will try and give the unions a bad name.
Yeah.
But remember now, unions are the backbone of a country. They are the working class of a country. And right now, these big guys who own the ports are boxing out the union for cheaper labor in Mango Creek. And you know, I mean, like it is really sad situation. It's like kind of union busting in a way.
Yeah.
So they are sacrificing in, and again, what I am seeing is like the black population of Belize City, because those guys who work at the port, all of them combined make about $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's for the stevedores, right?
The stevedores,
Yeah.
who have like families that total almost 1,000 people.
Yeah.
So all those people, where will that income come from? Just so that the big boys, American Sugar Refinery, could take their sugar to Big Creek, where it will be shipped out cheaper. Why? Because the workers in Big Creek are not unionized, so they work for basically the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So at the day, it's like it's a dollar game, and we as Belizeans, man, we have to look out for each other. We can't continue to live on these small monies that people get. You know?
I feel like this has been something in the making a long time, you know, because I noticed that in Big Creek there was a lot of movement, you know, fixing up Big Creek, and I thought, but why are these people investing so much money in Big Creek again? When I thought that the port, the what do you call it, the different industries was kind of separated in terms of the port they operate. So the banana operated down south, and the sugarcane man operated Belize City up north, right? But
yeah, and you see, when they sold the port in Belize, the government sold the port to, I would say, the Ashcraft group of companies. Of course, you know, buy up everything. Then they had an agreement, that a legal binding agreement, that the port of Belize will always handle the exporting of the sugar.
Yeah, that's it. All right. That's the MOU that the brother was talking about from Belize City, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was legal, so it would have been illegal to send sugar south, because then you are depriving the port of Belize from making an income.
Yeah.
And a legal agreement that they have, and all of a sudden now, the port of Belize, which is now owned by the Ashcraft group, is saying, "No, that's okay, make the sugar go down south," because they want to bust the union.
Yeah. And we're seeing it over and over, you know. It happened with BNTU, and I'm not going to hide it. Right? It happened with BNTU, and now it's happening to CW. So both unions in our country, for some reason, and this is my opinion, for some reason I think the government of the day continues to play hide and seek, in terms of you hide from the issues, right? And hoping that it will go away, and you know what, our people just take it to, and we say, oh, it's all right, you know, they decided that they'll do that, and they call on that power that they have and say, all right, but you elected me to fix things, so I'm fixing it, right? Not knowing that, I think they're angering the unions. One of the problems I have with this movement of the sugar stuff from Belize City into Big Creek is that, if you notice that the port in Belize City is located on the south side of Belize City, right, which is the poorer side, that's the whole industry in the area. So now you're taking all that money away from these people, right? So what do you think will happen to the black brothers there in Belize City now, right?
Crime to escalate,
right? And then they're wondering, how will we fix a crime situation? How will we fix situation that Belize has, when the core problem, it comes back to some of the social things that we do, the social aspect that we take care of in our society. If you're taking, let's say, $175,000 or $1 million out of that community itself, you're sending that community down the drain, you know.
But look at, you're sending that community down the drain, and let's segue, kind of continuing into this, because I know you only have half an hour. Yesterday, if you saw on the news, it was yesterday or Friday, where the government of Belize is signing an agreement with UNHCR, High Commission for Refugees, to bring more youths into this country. No, look how many youths we have that don't even have jobs. Yet you're going to bring more youths into this country. That is ridiculous.
Yep, I saw that and I said, Ben, you know what? We are desperately, we are and were desperately in need of some youth programs for our society. And now you're saying, let's bring in the other people, bring in some of the other youths and take them in. I know it's a money thing, you know, I'm sure of that,
Yeah.
right? But
You are ramming this down our throat.
but
You know,
they really
yeah,
need, we need to hold them accountable for putting in some programs in place and show how this money is spending on the youth population.
yeah. I mean, like you had the vice president of the United States flew to Guatemala a few weeks ago, and because they want Guatemala to keep the people from Honduras, Guatemala from going to the States, they are pumping billions of dollars into Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador. Belize's name was not even mentioned.
No.
Yet they want to send us refugees.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like there's
at sometimes, you know, when the prime minister used to exit country, go over to another country, when he comes back, he gives a thorough report. Or in fact, even before he leaves, he would say, all right, I'm going over to US to discuss this particular topic, right? And when he come back, he gives his report. But in this case, we're not hearing anything. I had the prime minister gone again. This time, I think, a personal leave, right? But the last time he was in Guatemala, came back and with a whole different scenario there. And then he went to the US and came back, and I heard nothing. Next thing we know is that we're signing on to these agreements, right? And we have to take it. But then, as a people, we need to start putting structure in place so that we can survive some of these things. You know, people from other countries are bringing in diseases. They're bringing in that. They're raising the level of crime in our country, right? And yet we have to find a way to take care of them. I think the bottom line was that U.S. don't want them to make it all the way there. And so, you know what? You guys can stop in Belize and they'll provide refuge for you guys.
And you know, when you have this here, because Belize is such a rich country with resources, those guys will come here. Government will give them a piece of land. They will work that land, while the poor Belizean right here who want a piece of land can't get a piece.
That's true.
You know?
I mean,
they will write to their family back home in a poor country that they come from and bring them over here too.
Yep. That's true. I'm one of those persons who have applied for land over and over and can't get that. It just gets frustrating, right? But it happens. People will come in and people will do what they want with Belize, and we tolerate it, right? But definitely, the issue with the port in Belize City is it will have repercussions in the future, and it will show in society. We're seeing all these robberies and all these killings happening, and those are the core issues we need to tackle, and they stem from social issues. A hungry man or a man in time to pack it always, I want to find it no matter how, right?
An angry man.
Yep, and that is true, right? So when we look at everything and, you know, the whole union busting and dealing with things on a different scale when it comes to the government of the day, would you say that we're heading into somewhat of a authoritarian society now, and looking at the, well, I don't want to use the word, but looking at capitalism itself, right? From the rich people's keeping the business and saying what they want to happen in Belize without negotiating with any other party, without negotiating with anybody else.
Yeah, well, that is happening, and we, the Belizean people, have to learn to stand up, because from what I've read, that the government did not even have the decency to inform the Christian workers unions that they were moving their operations to Big Creek.
Yeah, and that's the sad part.
Crazy. That is really crazy. It's like, you know, you're going to work every day and you expect your money at the end of the month, and all of a sudden the company is moving and didn't even tell you. So you're going there, and one day you'll get there and there'll be no money, no work.
But something is up, and you know, we always find out when it's too late, right? When it don't happen.
Yeah, with the refugee thing, were you consulted? Maybe I was out fishing, but I heard of no consultation.
Nothing. I heard nothing. As I said, these agreements come in, and we take it because, as they say, you know, we elect them. So,
and this government got elected because they promised transparency and accountability.
Yep. But we have to continue fighting. We have to continue pushing. You know. To make sure that we achieve something. Otherwise, we'll have some dark days ahead of us, and we might reach a stage where it'll be too late to fix Belize or bring Belize back, right? But
I appeal to the young people, man, and yourself. You're a young fella, and to step up to the plate.
yeah,
You don't do what you do by having a show and trying to educate the public. You are a very skilled person. You could be making your own thing with your IT work and build a fence, and that's it. But is
yeah,
that the society you want to live in?
yeah,
No. So I applaud you for stepping up, and I want other youths to be like you and step out. I want to also applaud all those youths who step up to have a kind of light vigil for
yeah.
the youth of Hill.
I love that. I love that happened.
Yeah.
So and that brings us into the shooting at a young man. Again, it's tragic, but I am happy that the young people are stepping out and making their voices heard. And I hear the minister saying now that there's need for reform in the police department. And I saw, and I think the reform starts from the new intake, but also we have to look at reform of the officers who are already there. And I use the example. I am a teacher, and I remember some years ago they told us to say, all right, in order for you to remain a teacher, you have to become a licensed teacher, a full licensed teacher. And so I was one of those people who didn't want to go back to school for anything. I said, you know what, I have my degree. There's no need for me to go and get the whole pedagogy. And we were kind of forced to do it. And I can see the benefits now when we have trained teachers in the classroom. And I think the same thing has to happen for the police department. And so that was a good initiative by the government at that day in terms of getting teachers licensed and getting teachers trained. I think the same thing has to happen now for the police department, even for the people in service right now, that they have to have some sort of continuous training for them, continuous professional development for them in terms of their job. Because for some reason, I think a lot of the officers, and they're good officers and they're bad officers, like any profession, they're good and bad. But the ones who don't seem to get it, and these are the bad officers I'm talking about, they give them some training. And you know what? At some point, you'll have to start weeding them out, because at the end of the day, they know who they are now. They know these people. So you have to start weeding them out before more harm comes to society. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a very, very good point. I never looked at it like that, but yeah, just like the teachers had to go back and get trained to deliver their program, the police, if we know that in the police force there are lots of people there who are not qualified,
Yeah.
and not saying to throw them out, but hey, give them an opportunity
Yeah,
to
offer
go
them.
and get themselves or get training in the area that they have, in an area that they are needed, so that they could do their job better.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree, man. And that's the kind of reform we need. But when they talk about let's do reform, and then you still see nothing is being done, or the minimum is being done right now, because that should have been something that they champion right now. Let's do this, and let's do this quickly. Let's get our officers into some sort of training. But I'm not seeing that. I was looking at a simulation the idea online that they were using, and it's a virtual simulation for the officer learning how to shoot, I guess. And I said, but I can see the officer still aiming up at the person's chest, right? And I don't know the protocols for the whole firearm thing, but as far as I know, growing up, they say if a policeman even shoot you because you pull a gun at her, you probably are shooting your foot, right? But just looking at the simulation, I said they're still practicing the wrong stuff. But again, the reform needs to start, and I think Belizeans need to ensure that the government of the day look at the reform for the police department, right? And it definitely starts from the intake, just to make sure that you're on the right path. But again, you have people high up that are already corrupted, and so it's going to be hard for them to change. And those people who cannot change, I think needs to be weeded out, right?
Yeah, and that's why I think that the Whistleblowers Act, if that comes in,
that is key.
It need to be simplified. I know at a certain company right here in Toledo, they have incentive for people who blow the whistle on employees who are stealing, and I think that it has really worked a lot and has reduced the amount of theft from that one company.
Yeah, definitely. That whistleblower act will be key. it'll be a start to creating some sort of accountability for the officers, right? Accountability for people in government department also. But that draws me into the situation that we've been hearing over the course of the week with the CEO. I was shocked when I heard that the CEO's salaries remain the same, but public officers got cut by 10%. And I thought they were also part of the sacrifice that we were making for country. Um, any thoughts on that? The CEO salaries?
It's a damn slap in the face
Okay.
of especially the teachers and public service workers. I mean, the teachers who go out there and work day in and day out. And then these CEOs will come in now and will not are so arrogant that they're not even going to take a cut. Not to mention all the perks that they get, the benefits, that they get. They get like phone allowance, which ever you got 610 or 6 what a minimum.
Yeah.
So they're getting so much extras, yet they're cutting the poor teacher's salary. I mean, I hope that, when we were campaigning for the town council election, we used to say, anyone who owns a vehicle and still voted for the UDP got to be totally nuts.
Yeah.
Well, same thing now. If any teacher or public servant vote come the next election, then something is really wrong with them too.
Something definitely wrong then, for real, right? In PG, and I bring it up because it came up in the cabinet meeting about tongue expansion. What are your thoughts on tongue expansion for Punta Gorda town?
Yeah, well, I think that we have some people who are basically like non-existent right now, and we need to bring them into realm. For example, the Sarah community, we had one of our good brother, Mario G, who could not run because he didn't live in Cat Landing and he didn't live in PG. So where did he live? He did not live in a division that would allow him to vote for a village council or a council. So I think this should clear that up. At the same time, I think the people of Cat Landing, if they want to remain a village, need to let that be known quick, because the way this crowd work, they all wake up tomorrow and that's a lie,
That's the same thing I think.
This crowd is no joke.
Same thing I think. I say, if Cat Landing really wants to remain a village, then they need to make it known now, because they are moving and they are making law, and that'll be it. Now we have problem, and if we look at Punta Gorda in particular, we have problem managing the town as small as it is. You could imagine an expansion. And then I ask, I look at the VOA land, and I say, but what happened to all of VOA land? We sit right by the side of town, where for years now the whole campus empty, and it's private. Is it private property?
Yeah, I think that's private property. I think some PUP have that because it was under the PUP administration before, when I believe it is someone of the expats. That's believe it belongs to.
Yeah, kind of a big block. That's a big block of land, and
yeah, it's a big block of land, but I understand that it was sold to a foreign group recently or just before the elections. So, but speaking of opportunities, you go to the market and there are empty stalls that's not even being rented. I talked to Mark West. He's been waiting. So these are places where they could make revenues and they have not.
Yep.
They are not this place upstairs there. Rent it out, give it out to people,
That's
so
true,
they income.
One of the things. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
One of the things I spoke about on the campaign trail was that you have your councillors in place, but I need to also see what my councillors are doing, and I'm not hearing anything from these councillors or knowing what their functions are. I think one of the first thing I mentioned was that if you have councillors in place, you get them trained on how to write proposals, so at least they could sit down and earn that $800, the right proposals, and try bringing some finance to your community, right? But I'm not hearing anything. I don't see any active councillors in our community. I might be wrong, maybe kind of go nowhere too, right? But
well then, if you are wrong, then the councillor should reach out to you, because sure somebody is going to tell them what we are talking about and says, hey, this is what I'm doing. If they are actually doing something. But I saw last week Friday, I saw a counselor was 10 o'clock in the morning. One of the elected PUP councillors walking around town with a beer in his hand. This is 10 o'clock in the morning. Should you then be trying to fix the street? It's crazy, man.
Yep. Well,
And
life is good for the man, I guess.
people need to demand that these work for their money. You got 6 of them, 6, 8, 48. That's almost $5,000 per month.
Yep.
That could go to street repairs or some kind of incentive for the youth. You don't even have a youth summer program right now.
Yeah, I know. I think I brought it up the last time that we need to start looking at programs in Toledo, in Punta Gorda in particular, but it has to be championed by some group, and the elected group is the town council, right? And so you'd think that they would be pushing things into place, but again, I'm just calling out. I'm just calling out on the mayor. Offer some training to your councillors on proposal writing. I'm sure we have people in town who will be willing and able to give them training in proposal writing so they can start writing some proposal so we can get some money in. At least I am happy knowing that you tried and you tried to get in something than sit there and do nothing at all. Last thing I want to sit out there, sit down on a hand for the $800.
Yeah, exactly. You got some of them are teachers in, yes, several of them are teachers. They have writing skills, like you say, and there are tons of money out there that they could access.
Yeah.
Out there. Don't just wait and collect your $800. That's a very, very good point. It's not that you have unskilled people in the town council. Come on, get out there and write some grants. There is so much money for climate mitigation. PG Town is like a seaside community. You could write to the climate change centers around the world to ask for money to help improve your drainage. Right? That's what we need. We get flooded out every rainy season. There's free money for that. You don't need taxpayers' money. Free money.
Yep. I agree with you, Will. I mean, like I mentioned, we have a lot of different issues here in Belize. We have a lot of different issues in Punta Gorda town that we are tackling, right? And again, I'm just trying to raise awareness to some of these so that the young people, especially who visit my platform, because I know I have a lot of young people on my platform, that they know that some of these things are occurring and they need to stand up now and make their voices be heard. I like the initiative of standing up for Laddie. The same type of energy needs to come when you're standing up for your community, knowing that some things need to change, because at the end of the day, you're the people who will need to fix things later. You're the people who will need to pay whatever bill needs to be paid if it's left behind by the people in authority now. Good. Any closing words you have for us tonight, Will?
Yeah, I just again applaud the young people for standing up for Laddie. I want to encourage each and every young person to go out and get registered, because when you are registered, you have a voice. Don't wait for a politician to get registered. This is your right as a youth in this community of ours. And once you are registered, then you have power.
All right.
So all the youths, as soon as you turn 18, get out there and go get registered.
All right. And I want to encourage everybody to stay positive. The work begins as soon as you realize that something is wrong. Your work begins, right? And I'm realizing that there's so much wrong in our society that needs to be mended. And I have my kids coming up. They'll be growing up in this society. I want better for them, and so the people around my age range, the young adults, I want that you guys also step up and start getting things done. If you notice that something wrong is happening in the community, make some noise, man. Make some noise, because maybe people don't see it.
Yep, exactly.
We have all of this social media platform available for us for that reason. Share some of the positive things that happens in our community, but also point out some of the negatives so that we can fix them. Right? Good. All right. So that's where we want to end tonight. It's a very short show. Thanks for being here with us.
Nathan, yeah.
All right, and guys, we're out, and next time. All right, well, thanks very much, man.
Thank you.